Today I am going to be doing a video on menu planning and some ideas on how to do it and how to save money with your groceries, and to share with you some tips that I've learned over the years. So come with me and we'll menu plan. Um, so some people I know do their menus and they're very strict and saying Monday we're having chicken cacciatore, Tuesday we're having tacos, etc. I don't really like doing that per se. What I do like to do is to gather about 30 different recipes um, to do for the month, and then I will plan. So I have a 30 recipes to start off with. Some from family favorites. I have a list of recipes that my family likes. I will show you what I'm transferring it over to make it look a bit better. Also, I'm going to look at my schedule for the month and put in what activities we have, what days we need to have a quick meal, what days we don't even need to have a meal because we're going somewhere where food is provided. And of those days, I'm going to make about 30 meal options. And I will have all those ingredients by the end of the month for all those days. I do groceries every 2 weeks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be shopping my freezer and my pantry and my fridge and trying to use that stuff first in my menu plan. Then I shop the sales flyers for the week that I'm going groceries and check off all the ingredients that are on sale at my rock bottom prices or at a decent price to purchase because we want it. I'm not going to buy things that are super expensive or out of my price range. Then once I have those ingredients, I know what recipes I can do. So that's how I plan my menus. I make 30 recipes, and then I will each week pick which ones for that week. Put like crock pot or easy quick meals on days we're busy. So Tuesdays from now till the end of the year, well, actually probably till the end of June next year, it's going to be quick meals. Sundays, we usually have supper at my in-laws, so I don't have to plan supper, but I still have to plan a lunch after church. So that is something I usually try and either have an already cooked meal that I just have to heat up, or on Sundays we use that as our leftover day to eat up whatever is left over in the fridge. Or I make a soup and I throw it in the crock pot before church, put it on high. By the time I get back from church, it is done. Or that is my day that I'll make what I call garbage pail soup. Garbage pail soup for me is taking all little bits of leftovers that will go together. Like, you're not going to necessarily take salmon and chicken to go together, as that would just taste weird. But you take all the ingredients that go together. So if you have little bits of vegetables, if you have little bits of pasta, little bits of rice, little bits of meat, throw that in the crock pot. Throw a can of soup or canned tomatoes, some chicken broth. Throw some more fresh vegetables in there, and maybe some more pasta or rice, and maybe some like meat. And that will be a yummy, flavorful soup. Add your spices that you like. You know, you can get Mexican inspired, be more like a taco soup if you have a bunch of ground beef, or you can throw Italian spices and make it more like a minestrone type soup with whatever little bits. The only problem with that is that if your family really likes that soup, you'll never be able to recreate it again because you're literally using things that you would probably thrown out to make the soup. So just be wary. That's what I like to do. And that is a great way to save money. Making soup will save you tons of money, because you can make a big, huge pot. Like I make about 12 liters of soup when I make a soup. That feeds my family at least 2 actual meals. This is like really big bowls, usually with a sandwich or a roll or fresh bread or something to sop it up. As well as I put in the freezer for lunches for my kids, which makes a healthy lunch. And then I don't have to really think on some days. Sometimes I just grab it from the freezer and heat it up and put it in their thermos, and they're good to go. Or even I'll just put it into the containers with a twistable lid, and they can heat it up at school, depending on the soup, and depending on the thermoses, and depending on what containers my kids brought home, because sometimes they forget them in their locker, because they are teenagers. So there is that. Do that in any given week. I will only plan 6 suppers, and then the other day is going to be used for leftovers. Whether it's a repeat of a meal, like if I made lasagna and my family didn't eat all that day, we'll have lasagna. Maybe not the next day, because my family, I don't know about your family, but my family does not like to have leftovers the very next day, unless it's something extra special. Okay? They will eat the lasagna maybe 2 days down the road. So we'll have lasagna one day, and then we'll have, say, chicken the next day, and then lasagna again. Or I will use that lasagna as a side with chicken or steak. So it'll be my pasta side versus the main course. So you have to plan your leftovers, incorporating it into the week. And it depends on your week. Like sometimes I'll double a recipe for purposeful leftovers. But my family is super duper hungry that day. You know, my teen's going through growth spurts, or they were very active. Maybe it was a Terry Fox run or whatever. And they're hungry. And they will eat seconds of something. So then there's not much leftovers. So then what do I do? Well, I'll save those leftovers. I'll put them in the fridge. If they're not eaten for lunches or that within 2 days, I'll throw them in the freezer. Okay? And then one day that week, I will make them into a soup, or I'll just have a buffet of a whole bunch of leftovers that it's, you know, a smorgasbord, and you get to pick and choose what you wanted from those things. So it's not enough for everybody to have something, but there might be a little bit of lasagna here, a little bit of pasta salad over here, and so on. But I will look at my calendar and kind of figure out the day that we'll do leftovers on. Usually something that we have a whole bunch of things left over that week. But that's why I like my schedule. Like I might say, Monday I'm having this, Tuesday I'm having this, Wednesday I'm having that. But it's flexible, okay? So if something comes up that Tuesday we get invited to go out for supper with friends, well, I'm not cooking Tuesday. But what I do is whatever I had planned to cook for Tuesday, well, now it's getting bumped to Wednesday, and Wednesday is getting bumped to Thursday. Especially if it's using a lot of fresh ingredients, and it's things like herbs, like basil and mint or whatever, and coriander, stuff that doesn't really save well, and they tend to go bad if they're in the fridge for too long. So I will look at that and bump it over. If it's something that's using, like, say for example, tacos, or taco soup, that's using a lot of canned, or either canned by me or canned by the store, food, I could bump that to next week. I could bump that to 2 weeks down the road. I don't need to have it this week because it's not using a lot of fresh ingredients. Or the fresh ingredients that does use the celery, onion, carrots type things are things that I'm going to have on hand all the time versus specific ingredients for that recipe. Like my family likes some of my family likes cauliflower and some like broccoli. So I'll usually pick those things up for when I'm doing Asian type dishes. I'm doing a stir fry or that, or even just as a side. But if I don't have those things, I'm not going to make those recipes. Another thing to do, what I like to do, which saves time and money, is when I purchase, say, ground beef on sale, I usually get the really big family packs, which serves my family with 4 people, like basically 4 adults, but two of them are teens that eat like adults. At least 2 meals, possibly 3. So sometimes if I'm organized and if I have time and I'm not completely exhausted after doing my grocery haul, I will separate that big package of ground beef into 2 to 3 Ziploc bags and throw them in the freezer. If I'm really organized, I will also add ingredients in those bags with the ground beef to make whatever meals I have planned on my menu plan. So I might have a whole bunch of chopped onions and peppers and stuff and put into one ground beef and throw in the cooked beans and stuff, and then it's already ready for a chili. I just have to add more stuff the day of. But I'm not always that organized. Heck, most times if I could just fit the freezer stuff in the freezer and the stuff that needs to go in the fridge after grocery day, that's about the extent of what I can do sometimes. And I'll leave my canned and boxed stuff for the morning to put away, because sometimes I'm just too exhausted after doing groceries, and then my family needs supper, and then after supper, I'm done for the day. So, but that's real life. But what I like to do is, if I do have a big package of family-sized meat, is I will take that out and make sure that that week I'll have 2 recipes that need that meat. So say it's ground beef. I will take it out, I will defrost it, I will cook the first recipe, let's say it's meatloaf, I'll make a meatloaf of it, but at the same time, I'm going to pre-cook up the rest of the ground beef for my spaghetti sauce, which is, say, 2 days down the road. Well, I will season that meat as per whatever recipe I want it for. I will chop up the onions and celery and carrots and whatever veggies, cook it with the meat, season it, and then put that in a container for the fridge. So now, 2 days down the road when I want to make spaghetti, I have it already half done. So all I have to do is take that seasoned meat with the vegetables, throw in a can of tomato sauce, and whatever other vegetables I want to throw in it, as I like to try and hide lots and lots of vegetables in my sauces. So any vegetables that are starting to get wilted or whatever, I'll just throw them in the food processor or the blender, throw it in the sauce, and cook it up. So that's what I'm saying. What you should do to save money and time is to cook once, but you feed your family twice. And it really does take a lot of the thought process out of it. And sometimes I'm sure other moms and dads out there that are seeing this feel it, that sometimes by the end of the day when you're making supper, your brain is exhausted. You've been busy, say, at work, or you've been doing stuff around the house, or taking care of children, or just doing activities of daily living, and you're just tired. You don't really want to have to think. So you're like, oh, the meat's there, there's the sauce, I can make a quick supper. So plan it out, and plan it with what you have on hand and what's on sale, so that you're not running back to the store to get stuff. To save money is to go to the grocery store less. So if you have space to shop once a month and buy all your ingredients that are on sale that you need for your menu, well, you can make your, I personally like to shop first and then make my menu plan. So you shop your pantry and your fridge and your freezer first. You know roughly what you have. You'll find some recipes. Let's say you find, 10 recipes you want to do. You look at the ingredients that are required for those recipes, and you find those ingredients on sale, and you buy them on sale. Then if there's other things at the store, like in a store special, that's cheaper than what you know is the sale price, either your price matching it or it's sale at that store, then get it. You know, then you can add that to your list of ingredients you have, and then when you come back home, you revamp your menu plan. You add more recipes with the new ingredients that you got that you weren't necessarily planning on for, but they were your rock bottom price, or they were close to your rock bottom price, and it'll give you a variety. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I get into a rut. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea what I want to make for supper. When I'm looking at my menu plan, I don't really want those things. And sometimes I didn't make a menu plan and I've just been winging it. Most times I try and make a menu plan for a week. Lately I've been trying to do it for a month, which I find is so much easier to do, because then I have 30 ideas. I don't have to think. I just pick and choose which ones I want on any given day, because I have all the ingredients for those meals, or roughly all those ingredients, because some of those things, like say burgers, you might have to get buns at the store. So whenever you plan your groceries, you're like, oh, I'm planning on doing burgers this week, so I'll get the buns there. Because buns, I haven't been very successful at freezing hamburger and hot dog buns to last more than a week or two. If it goes past 2 weeks, they get dry, and then I have lots of breadcrumbs or croutons. Not because my family are picky on things. They've had it too good. You know, when I was a kid, you know, I'd be happy with dryish buns, but not my family. So, staying with that, you have a nice variety of food, and you make sure that it's not all one protein either, because your family will get sick and tired of it. For example, my husband's not big on chicken, so I cannot have more than 2 meals a week of chicken. Unless it's fried chicken, then I don't think he would ever get tired of it if I just made fried chicken, but then we would be a bazillion pounds, and, you know, we don't need to have fried chicken every day. So, and it's not good for you either. You know, having it once in a while, not a problem. But we balance it out with having a salad and that. You're in a rut of menu ideas, or say your family is not giving you insight on what recipes they want you to have. I first always go to my kids and my hubby and say, what would you like for supper this week? Especially the day before I do groceries. Is there anything you'd like me to pick up? And I will write them down on my shopping list. I will search my Flip app, FLIPP, to the stores that are in my area of what's available and what's on sale. I'll write those prices down, and I'll most likely get those ideas. If my husband wants a T-bone steak, though, T-bone steaks are rarely on sale. And sometimes, if I've saved enough money in my grocery hauls and I have extra PC points, I use those PC points to get those expensive ingredients that are not something that we get all the time. So that's the way I like to do it. It's like a game for me, that if I can save so much money, then I have that extra money that I can now use on more expensive ingredients. If my husband wants a nice steak, we can get a nice steak. Or if I want to get brie cheese, because my family loves brie cheese, I can get that. But brie cheese is not cheap. So I'm not going to get that all the time unless it's on sale and unless we have the extra money. But if you're in a rut, a great place to go, which I love to go, is on Pinterest. I'll go on my boards and search for recipes. I'm Jenn and Kanata on Pinterest as well. I have my recipes organized how I think that they would be organized, and sometimes the same recipe is in 2 or 3 different spots. So, for example, I might have a chicken enchilada dish. I have it under chicken, and I might have it under freezer meals, and I might have it under casseroles. So that way, if I'm looking for a casserole dish, I will come across it and be inspired. Or I'll just do searching other people's recipes to be inspired. especially if I have a bunch of veggies that are left over from a garden box CSA that I'm not really familiar with, or that my family's not familiar with on an ongoing basis, and I try and hide it in other things because they don't like it as a vegetable, like squashes. I get those all the time. My family eats them. They don't always know they're eating them. But Pinterest is great for that. Also, another idea to do is to go on your in your cupboards and find your favorite cookbooks and get inspired by them. I'm going through the recipes. So, for example, this week I went and grabbed one of my curry books, my Indian cooking books, because I'm going to, instead of make lamb curry tomorrow, I'm going to make the lamb biryani here. I don't have as much lamb as it calls for, but I will wing it, because lamb biryani is like a lamb fried rice, but Indian style. So it'll have vegetables and rice and spices and meat, and it's mostly a rice dish. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the stuff from my freezer. And books like this, Saving Dinner. This is an awesome book. Only thing is, my family is a bunch of different picky eaters. Like, they don't eat a lot of fish. My oldest will not touch anything seafood. My husband and my daughter will eat fish, and myself, and shrimp. But what's nice with this book is that it has also, here, let's put this down here, a menu plan too. So it'll have a week's menu, so 6 days. And for example, my family would probably eat the ginger beef, the turkey burgers, possibly the butternut ravioli stew. They wouldn't unless I somehow blended it. I'd have to look at that recipe. The fish they would not eat. The chicken and the crock-pot bean soup with kale. They probably will eat this. But this thing has the shopping list. The recipes are right behind it, I believe. Yeah, so the recipes are right here. So there's the shopping list. So I can go through the recipes here that my family will not eat and take out the ingredients of the shopping list, and then I can go. So if I want to be inspired, or if I'm in a rut, I'll try something new. The problem with doing something like this is 4 or 5 recipes that are new, and I try not to do more than 2 recipes in any given week that are new. But this is a good book here. Another book here. This is a goodie but oldie. Better Homes and Gardens, Meals and Minutes. I have a bunch of these I got at like garage sales for like 5 or 10 cents. This is from 1963, but there's some recipes in here that are like, I can't believe people actually ate that stuff, but that is what it is. Another one I like to take out, Eating Forward. So this is also another one for the busy moms. Recipes I like that has pictures and the instructions, but I don't like how it's written up. Because it literally tells you instructions, and it's like the night before, in the morning, when you get home. So these are really quick menus. They'll have different settings here of either the prep is 15 minutes or 20 minutes for prep. Or, like here's the layout, 20 minutes to prep, or 15, has more cutting and less chopping. Some of them are. And then they also have a menu plan. Again, they always seem to have 1 or 2 dishes that my family will not eat. But it's a great jumping spot. Example, you can look at my video up here of my cleaning out the upstairs freezer and doing an inventory, and these are the things I've crossed off so far. But from that inventory I made a bunch of list of meals just from those ingredients. Some of these I've started to use, and then I implemented some of these into my menu plan. I haven't filled it all out yet, as I got busy and I just wanted to get a week's done so far, and that was what I've decided to do. I have still crossing it. But from there, I found some printables, which I will put the link below this, of things to use. So I'm going to take my list I have in another binder of the recipes that we like to use. The cookbook or the source, so if it's on Pinterest, I'll say Pinterest in the chicken, the page number and comments, like I substitute, or add hot sauce or whatever. This is going to be my new spot of go-to recipes that when I'm making my meal plan, I will come back and grab some of these recipes. Trying to hold this up. And here I'm going to take this and revamp it for my freezer inventory. I will do inventories on my other freezers and add them on here. And this one is what I'm going to use for frozen meals. So the main dishes, meats and dairy meals, breakfast ones, and side dishes. And then I will have it which freezer it will be. That's what I'm going to be using. I'll put the links down below of where I found these. That helps to give you some ideas on menu planning and how you can implement it with your family. You just have to make it work for your family. And honest God, it will save you money, because the more you plan, the less you will go for takeout or drive-through, or even going to the grocery store and getting the convenience food like the rotisserie chicken and some, frozen fries and a pre-made salad. Not that you can't do that, and you can plan to do that, but I know so many people, so many of my friends and people I know, as well as myself, I've done that, okay? And doing that once in a while is not a problem, because but it can cost money. And if you're anything like me, when you're trying to, pay down any debt, like we hope to pay down any debt and increase our payments for our mortgage and hopefully get the house paid off sooner, so that we can use more money to go towards the kids' schooling, because the kids are in high school now. We're going to have college, university, which is not cheap. We're not necessarily going to pay for it all. We expect our kids to earn money to go towards it. But having more of disposable income, because we've saved money on groceries and paying off debt, that is what our goals are. But making a menu plan and sticking to it, even if it's flexible, because I cannot do things very regimented. And if you're a type of person that can do it very regimented, more power to you. Because then you can go and take your menu plan and say, Monday we're having this, Tuesday we're having that. Well, the way that my family is, we have so many things kind of going on, and sometimes somebody's sick, so they're not going to want to have a big roast beef dinner. Well, then maybe I'll make a soup instead, and they'll eat that. As my cat has decided to say hello. This is Princess. Say hello, Princess. She's like, you're sitting down, so I'm going to come and bug you. Anyways, menu planning will save you money. It will save you stress. And you'll always know roughly what's for supper that day. So you can plan your life around it. And for those with a busy schedule or those who work outside of the home, is a lifesaver. When I was working, I had to menu plan, and I always knew what was for supper. And I I loved it because I knew I just throw it in the crock pot and it was ready when I got home. Or I took it out of the, something from out the freezer, put it to defrost in the fridge, and when I got home I popped it in the oven, ready in half an hour. I mean, anything can be cooked in half an hour if it's already all prepared. So you might spend time doing it on the weekends when you might have more free time. But, and then during the week, if you're busy, throw it together because everything can be cooked. Well, not everything. Almost everything can be cooked within an hour. So if you get home at 5 o'clock, it'll be ready by 6. If everything is prepared beforehand. So, hopefully this will help. You can look on more of my playlists of either menu planning or how I save money, or go and check out the playlist of cooking with Jenn and Kanata or budget meals to maybe inspire you. And know that just because you have a recipe, you don't always have to follow it 100%. Unless you're that type of person that always has to follow it, then go ahead and follow it. But I'm the type of person that I can improvise. If I don't have an ingredient, I will substitute. If I can't substitute, I'll just leave it out if it's not a major ingredient. The only things I recommend to follow more closely are baking items and things that require more of a science. But any type of casserole, soup, or crock pot dish, you can leave out ingredients. You could add other ingredients instead, especially when you get used to cooking and you figure out different flavor profiles. You can figure stuff out. You don't necessarily have to have the Italian seasoning if you don't have it. But if you have basil and oregano and parsley, you've got, basically half the ingredients in Italian seasoning. So you can use those and forget about the other ones, or whatever. It's called just making substitutions. That way you're not running to the store to get one ingredient, And, God forbid that you're making a recipe and the broccoli that you had planned for supper that night has gone wilty and bad or got all squishy. Well, you're not going to use it, but you could substitute something else. Beef and broccoli doesn't have to be beef and broccoli. It could be beef and cauliflower. It could be beef and carrots. It could be beef and mushrooms. It could be beef and mixed vegetables. It doesn't have to be beef and broccoli just because it calls for broccoli. So, if you like videos like this, I'll be doing some more as more questions come up, and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. I'm not a professional. I'm a stay-at-home mom who likes to cook. So take this with a grain of salt, and I'm just sharing with you what works for my family. Hopefully it'll work for your family. And if you have any comments or questions, please post them below. I'll try and answer them. If I get a lot of questions, I might do a video just on those questions. And if you have anything else that works for you, feel free. Please share it. And I'll try it myself, because anything that I can do to make my life easier and my family happy, because my family is happy as long as there's food on the table, a roof over the head, heat in the winter, and air conditioning in the summer, because, well, we like air conditioning. We're pretty easygoing. So, have a good day. Bye. Please click like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And say bye, princess. Bye.